You're listening to localwebradio.fm. Community-minded, locally focused.
Are you a hardworking business owner striving for success online? There is help. Welcome to the School of Internet Marketing podcast, featuring candid conversations and inspiring stories of online success. Now here's your host.
I hope everybody is having a great day. I am your host, Nick Jaworski, and today I'll be talking with James Martell, founder of the School of Internet Marketing and VP of Product Development for jambMEDIA. Today's topic, the surprising effect the internet has on small business. Now, before James joins us, just a reminder that if you have questions or require assistance, you can reach James's team at jambMEDIA and the School of Internet Marketing at 604-535-6352 and on Facebook at facebook.com/GoGreatMinds. James Martell has taught tens of thousands of business owners how to effectively market their businesses online through his ebooks, courses, live trainings, and webinars, podcast and speaking engagements, and I'm looking forward to learn as much from him as possible. James, welcome to the show.
Nick, thanks so much. It's great to be here.
I am ready. So let's just get started. What effect has the internet had on small business?
It's a great question, and it's a question that I've been asked recently, and I had a chance to really think about that. And the answer is quite surprising because everybody has this feeling that the internet has done all these great things for small business, and in reality, it's really thrown a monkey wrench into the gears for most small businesses. They had found themselves relying for years, some of them for decades, on the more traditional forms of advertising, yellow pages, local newspapers, the daily newspapers, even coupons, and more of the staples of the advertising industry of years gone by. And whereas all of a sudden the internet comes along, and now we start to see the little local daily newspapers, or even the large ones, struggling with readership because people are generally shifting to the net. I know in our area here, we've got a little local newspaper called the Peace Arts News, and it's been around for decades, literally. And now when it arrives at the doorstep, it is so thin, you can hardly, I hate to say it, but it's a fraction of what it used to be. It's really more, we kind of look at it these days and say it's more of a flyer wrap, because most times there's more flyers in the paper than there actually is newspaper.
Right.
And then I look around in some of the neighboring communities. We've got a community up the valley. And then this is probably very similar throughout the entire continent, where we've got up the valley, there's a little community called Abbotsford. And there's another one in the interior of British Columbia called Kamloops. Both of them have had daily newspapers for as long as I can remember. And they both just announced they are closing their doors. So this has really thrown small businesses into a bit of a quandary. Meanwhile, they still need to figure out ways to bring in local foot traffic. They need to get their phones ringing. They need to find ways to generate leads and customers and get people coming through the doors. And yet the ways that they've normally been doing it is no longer working. So they're finding themselves very vulnerable. They are quite unsure of themselves when it comes to generating new traffic and new business to the net, or because of the shift in traffic to the net. They know they need to get involved with the internet. Many have had some failures with it, and they may have had a website that was created that didn't quite go the way they wanted it. Yet they know the local consumers are looking to the internet to find local businesses, but they're just really in a position where they're just not really quite sure where to get started.
Okay, so where do you feel most small businesses are with regards to the state of their online presence, their websites, their social media, all that stuff?
That's an area I've been working in for a very long time, is talking with small business owners about exactly that topic. And I found that most small businesses either still, and if listeners want to look up the stats, you just do a Google search for how many businesses or what percentage of businesses have websites, and you'll find that still today, less than half of small business owners even have a website. And I found that many that do the websites are out of date, they're not kept up, they're usually in the control of maybe their graphic designer, they're not really connected to it at all, they've got no way to update it, they haven't really thought about it for a long time, or maybe their domain name has expired and the site's actually down, and I run into that more times than not. They can't find their passcodes. They're really having some challenges, and now you layer on it, you've got this new era of social media with Facebook coming online, and there's another whole level of complexity, and then they know they need to be collecting email addresses from their audience, but they're not quite sure how to get started. And meanwhile, they're all busy as bees in the day-to-day operations of their business. The goodness knows we know small business has a lot of work to do in a day, or a small business owner. So this whole idea of the internet and this happening that we're watching unfold, that I'm sure decades from now they'll be talking about this time online, typical small business owner didn't really plan on having to all of a sudden become an internet marketing expert. So they're finding themselves really in a bit of a quandary.
Okay, well, you're the expert, so why do you think it's so important for small businesses to take the internet seriously?
I was actually talking, and that's a very good question. I was talking to my son on a couple of evenings ago, and he lives in an apartment, probably about 15 minutes from where my wife and I live, and in the South Surrey area, and he said that, I don't know how we got onto it. I remember, we were talking about the Yellow Pages. We were having a beer in the pub, and it's nice to get out with your son and just go out for an evening together. And we were just chatting, and something came up. He pulls out his smartphone, and it's this amazing piece of technology. And I've got a smartphone, but I can't make it do a tenth of what he does with his.
Right.
And he's talking about, I honestly don't remember how it came up, but we're talking about the Yellow Pages, because I had asked one of the servers a couple weeks before, would you mind bringing me the Yellow Pages? And she gives me this stared look, and it's like, okay. All right, let me go to the back. I'll see if we've got one. A few minutes later, she comes, walking out of the back room there, and nope, no Yellow Page. Sorry, we don't have Yellow Pages. And I'm telling this story to Justin, and he basically tells me that in his apartment building, a few months ago, they came by, and as they do in all apartment buildings, they dropped off just a pile of Yellow Pages in the lobby for everybody to grab and take up to their apartments as they come in. He says the pile hardly moved in months. They ended up actually just turfing them all. So here we are with the business owners in the former way, and many of them have stopped those traditional forms of advertising, but they haven't been able to replace it. And they realize that we hear the talk about Facebook, and we hear the talk about the growth in Facebook and the various social networks, where you hear the stats that Facebook is now up over 1 billion users. You hear the stats that Twitter is up over 200 million users, but it's really kind of hard to get your head around. But intuitively, they realize, I'm finding, that they know their audience is online. They're just not quite sure how to go get them, and it's a really big problem for many of them because they just really don't have any idea where to start.
Okay, well, we had to take a quick break, but don't go anywhere because I'm sure we'll touch on some more of this, and we'll be right back with James Martell.
Shopping for the lowest mortgage rate? Looking to refinance? Catch Jared Dreyer in the Mortgage Lab on localwebradio.fm.
Take control of your financial future with sound investing with Byron Stryloff, Senior Investment Advisor and Chartered Financial Planner with over 30 years of experience on the Home Channel on localwebradio.fm. To schedule a face-to-face conversation, you can reach Byron at 604-535-3700. That's 604-535-3700 and online at www.byronstryloff.com.
Buying or selling a home on the Semiahmoo Peninsula? Catch up on local market conditions on This Week in Real Estate with Lance and Connie Marples from Sutton West Coast Realty on localwebradio.fm.
All right, I am here with James Martell, and we are still talking about the surprising effect the internet has had on small businesses. And James, there's lots of ways that a small business owner can try to grow their business. And where do you think they should focus their attention?
That's an interesting question, and you can walk in any small business owner, pretty much, who has a presence where they're listed in any phone directory or anywhere that the telemarketers can get to them. And you will, if you talk to them, you will find that they will say they get calls all week long. They get calls, they get inundated with calls sometimes from people promising them great internet success. And one of the challenges they have is getting back to, before the break, they don't really know what to do. And they're kind of lacking the basic fundamentals and the knowledge needed to know even how to make the decisions on which direction they should go. Mm-hmm. So what I feel that most small business owners should do is, first off, before they do anything, put your checkbook away. Secondly, you need to get educated on what's going on. It's really not rocket science, although sometimes when you talk to some of these people who are calling in to sell you something, they'll make it sound like this most complicated beast, and they're going to do you the biggest favor in the world by getting you to the top of Google or listed in this directory. And I mean, I've heard the stories. They're definitely painted well. But you need to be able to differentiate what's really going on and what you really need to do for your business. You need a strategy in place. You need to get the tactics in place. Of course, some of the basics are a simple website and a social media presence and an email marketing campaign and understanding who your audience is. But really, it begins with an education. You really need to understand what you're up against, and you need to be able to discern the information that you're being presented with. And then you need to be, with that information, then you can begin to make decisions on what you need for your business. So I really do believe it all begins with understanding and education.
Okay, well, so then I guess that begs the question, what is the goal of this podcast, the School of Internet Marketing podcast?
That's a very good question, and that is exactly what the goal of this is to get small business owners, busy small business owners. And when I say small business owners, I'm typically talking about businesses with 50 or less employees, to get them up to speed on this thing we call the internet. Goodness knows it's the most amazing happening in communication and advertising and media in the history of our planet. And there's really no way to really go out and discern the information to learn, what are the basic fundamentals. Like anything, there's some real core fundamentals on doing the simple things. Like there's best practices on putting together a website. There's some real good strategies and tactics for growing your email list. There's ways to engage and build an audience on Facebook. And it's just a matter of learning how to do that, where you don't have to go spend 2 weeks in a school. I do honestly believe through podcasting, and I've been podcasting for over a decade here, I do believe with a 15, 20-minute weekly podcast where we just kind of break it down, we talk in layman language, we don't use 3-letter acronyms, and we really just kind of explain. And business owners are not stupid. They're business owners. They just need somebody to say, okay, this is the difference between this is the difference between hosting and a domain name. Here's how hosting works. Here's how a domain name works. Here's what an email marketing software program looks like. Here's what you should be spending for it. If you need to get some help, this is the type of person you're looking for. Avoid these guys. So really just the podcast is going to be just a way to parlay the information that I've managed to pick up through experience over the last 13, 14, 15 years online, and just share real life success stories that small business owners have had, and just share some basic ideas and really just to educate small business owners so they understand exactly what they're up against and how to go about effectively marketing their business online.
That sounds great. Now, we're almost out of time, but I just have to ask, you've talked about the number of people who try to sell some of these services to small business owners with sort of magic solutions and promises of just how wonderful they are. but you're giving it away for free right here. And I guess the question is, why?
This is podcasting is something that I've enjoyed doing for many, many years now. We launched our first podcast back in December of 2002. Actually, 3 years before they even coined the phrase podcast. We used to call it an audio newsletter, and that I still do that show over on Webmaster Radio every week. And I actually really enjoy podcasting, and I really enjoy working with small business owners, and I enjoy teaching people, the nuances of what it takes to succeed online. And really, they are nuances. There's not a lot of, like I said, it's not rocket science. Now, my goal, of course, I've got a couple of agendas myself. I've got 2 services that we offer, and those will be growing. And for some businesses, they may be right. For others, they may not be right. Maybe you have other solutions that you're already working with other service providers. But in our particular case, we've got our smart local web services team that is in the business of developing websites and building online strategy for small business. And from time to time, I'm hoping to pick up some clients that way once we earn the trust that we know what we're doing. And number 2 is I'm the founder of the School of Internet Marketing. It's a school that I've built online over the last few years, pulling together course instructors to generate various courses for our school, also to educate small business owners on how to market online. So I do have an ulterior motive here, which is to build business for myself as well, but it's through educating listeners and, of course, and small business owners on how to effectively build and maintain their online marketing strategy.
Well, this is going to be great, and I'm super excited for future episodes. I love being online and getting business done online, and I'm going to make sure to subscribe so I get all the updates. I'm sure that our listeners should too. So until next time, James, thanks so much.
Nick, thanks. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about the School of Internet Marketing and to get access to all exclusive courses and interviews, visit theschoolofinternetmarketing.com. That's www.theschoolofinternetmarketing.com.
Local stories, local voices. We're localwebradio.fm.